I would like to say thanks to everyone for coming to help us celebrate the life of my mom, our mom, and their grandmother. You take certain things for granted, like how powerful a person is. You see her from a different lens when you have a family member who's strong and very before their time. You see them through a different lens. And I never quite understood the impact of what my mom did in the times that she did it, and where she actually ended up. I remember a friend of mine, she's here, and she was talking to me one day, and she asked me, "How's your mom?" And I said, she's home. She hasn't been in good health, but she's hanging in. And she told me, "You must be proud." And the statement kind of threw me off for a little bit. And I was trying to figure out in what way she meant. She said, "I looked up to your mom because of her strength." She said she made waves in a time in Africa where men were first, women were second class, and everybody else was third. She made her way in a man's world in that time and made her mark. And I had to stop to think about it. You know, when you talk to somebody and then you walk away, you get in your car, you're driving off, and I had to focus on it. And I realized it was so true. She was so very different from other mothers that I hung out with my friends and we saw their moms. She just she would not accept less. She always was trying to achieve and reach that level that supposedly she wasn't supposed to be at, and it's only reserved for these types of people. She never let that stand in her way. From, as my uncle just said, from Firestone, from Duside, to Cuttington, to LU, to UCLA, she always wanted to achieve that next level, and she wasn't afraid of it. Through the years, as relationships go, we had many good times, and we had some bad times too. Because Mom never took any mess from anyone, especially me. Especially me. But I always deserved whatever wrath she pointed at me, I deserved it because it was something I did. But there was a flip side to that equation of extreme love. And I always thought to myself, among my siblings, that she liked me the best. I convinced myself of that. I was her favorite child and she loved me the best. Now, she made it clear that it wasn't so. But I refused to believe her. So I always believed that. And like African mothers, she was very opinionated. She believed what she believed, and on one hand, you would tell her this is the situation. She was like, "Oh, okay." And the very next second, she would talk to the next person. "Oh no, I'm not going to do so and so." And after she just said, "Okay." But I loved her, never stopped loving her. Even when I failed her, She always loved me. She always accepted me. I would get mad. I would go in my corner. She would get mad and go in her corner. But if I showed up and said, Mom, she would act like nothing happened, and we go from there. I want to say thank you to a few people who were there for her in more tangible ways than others. First and foremost, to Mr. Wallace. Mr. Wallace, I met in the 70s, and from the day I met him, there was never a time that he treated me any differently than his own child. I have my brothers and sisters here that are his biological children, even though I consider myself a son, Sieba and Kade, but he never treated us any differently. And I want to tell him thank you publicly for all the years that he dedicated to taking care of Mom when she was in failing health. From the bottom of my heart, he has exemplified, I mean, for better or worse, those vows. He has lived that, and I want to say thank you 100%. To my brother, Sieba, who is the youngest in our family. I'm not sure where he is. Bro, love you. He was the youngest in our family, but he was in the house with Mom 24/7, and he caught the good and the bad and did a lot of things, as Mr. Wallace said in the church, for her in her days when she could not do for herself. I want to tell you thank you, bro. I love you and I appreciate it. My sister Kade, she looked forward to those Skype sessions every Sunday. And not to repeat what my uncle said, but it's true. Those were among the bright spots in her life of things she looked forward to. And Kade, I want to tell you thank you. I see you, baby. Love you too. And thank you for that because you kept her spirits up. Not many of you who may know me, my close friends, like through social media, see pictures and all these things of my ex-wife, Tony. I mean, we were together and everybody knew her. Then, unfortunately, things happened. But Tony remained one of those people who was the closest to my mom as anyone else. Tony, because of the opportunity she had, always made sure Mom had everything she needed in terms of medication, visitation. Her mom is here, Mrs. Brown. I want to acknowledge her for always visiting my mom, praying with her, and all of that. And when a person in a family, we all have been through it, where there's a divorce in a family, most times everybody goes to their respective corners, and that's that. But in this particular family, because of that, the person we're here right now to honor, that never happened. Never happened. She never sold that type of division that because I'm not with this person right here, and I was married to my dad, I'm no longer with him, my family. My uncle Jusu, well, actually he's my cousin, but the African way, I call him my brother, I call him my cousin. On certain occasions, he's been my dad. Where is he? Brother Jay. There you go right there. Jusu and his wife Alice. Auntie Alice, where are you? I see you. Babe, love you too. You talk about a success story of all of us here, leaving where we came from to come here and to work hard to elevate and get yourself up to a certain level. In my heart, Alice and Jusu, they exemplified that. To come into this country as they did, like all of us did, most of us did, but to pull yourself up and accomplish what they have accomplished. I'm so very proud of them. And those were the two people who would go, you know, I'm a dude. I'm never gonna wanna think about, I need to help my mom take a bath or get her dressed and all of those things. I just couldn't bring myself mentally to even take myself there. But I didn't have to because of Alice, who would groom my mom, do her hair, do her blood sugar, blood pressure, and do all those things. Her life was so much better for everybody that I've named, and I'm sure I'm leaving some people out because the phone calls, she loved to talk. My mom will have that walker and that phone. Seriously, that phone didn't ring without her answering that phone. So she was on top of her situation in terms of communication, trust me. But these people have made her life so much better. And I applaud each and every one of them. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. What brought her joy and pride was always family. And that's why everybody here who has had a parent who they got along with, didn't get along with, tried to please, couldn't please, or who made their parents so proud that they gushed and talked about them all the time, I think you understand, in your heart, or at least in my heart, I've always thought that I wanted to do better than I thought my parents did. Even though my parents did that, I always wanted to try to do better with my own kids. And I always feel that I'm failing them. But when I look around, my firstborn son, I'm so very proud of him. My grandson Landon, my first right there. His wife Brittany, I'm so very proud of him. Thank you for being a positive light that your grandmother could talk about and say, my grandson did this or my granddaughter did that. My son Logan, who's my youngest, they were the ones that kept her spirits up, and she would cook for them. Trey, the troublemaker, who is like me, unfortunately. And here's the thing. He did everything that I did, and sometimes, you know, I feel like a hypocrite trying to tell him what not to do, knowing very well it's the same things I did. And finally, I just gave up and told him, I said, look, dude, I did the same thing, but times are different than when we grew up. So we try to give them that love that our parents bestowed on us. And my brother Leslie, who was, for a time, he was the youngest. So he was the baby of his mom until Kadir and Tia came along. And they bumped him out of that position. And he went to that dreaded, like, middle child. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. But anyway, but my last but not least, I will close with this. My older sister, Mabel. She, every time I look at her now, I see my mom. And some days that's a good thing, and some days that's a bad thing. But every day I see her, she looks more and more like her. And I want to tell her thank you too, because she too has been through a rough time. Big sis, I love you. I love you. I'm proud of you. thank you. I saved the best for last because you took a lot of pressure off of us, good and bad, and mostly bad, but keeping it real. But I love you, and thank you for saving us because you ran a lot of interference when we were growing up on our behalf. You and Jusu. Gotta give my man some props. So, anyway, not to go on and on like some typical Liberian, which I am. At the end of the day, we're all here to celebrate Mom, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to, like I said, that extended family, my Uncle Charles, my sister Bentu, who came from the other side of my dad's side and who have still been intimately involved with this family. And we've had our ups and downs, but I just want to say to all my family, I love you guys, and thank you. Thank you for indulging me. And anybody want to speak? They don't want to speak. But thank you very much for coming from far and long. People came from California, people came from Delaware, Jersey, New York, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. Thank you all for coming, and everybody, thank you.